Smell us now, lady.
Welcome to MeatEater Trivia.
MeatEater Podcast.
Welcome to MeatEater Radio Live. It's 11 a.m. Mountain Time. That's noon o'clock for our friends in Ochre River, Manitoba on Thursday, June 5th. And we're live from MeatEater HQ in Bozeman. I'm your host, Spencer, joined today by Janis and Randall. On today's show, we'll recap Jani's bear hunt and Randall's turkey hunt. Then we'll interview Owen Bachhuber about Project Rattlecam. After that, MeatEater Movie Club. We'll review its strangest film yet, followed by a fishy hot tip-off. And finally, kayak angler Kristine Fischer will join us for some 1-minute fishing redemption. But first, before we hear about this successful bear hunt and successful turkey hunt, I have a listener feedback prompt for those folks who are joining us live. All your questions today, give them to Phil. Let's make Phil's going to answer everything. Phil doesn't know about this. Ask Phil like the hardest video game level he's ever played is, what his favorite cover song is, what his first car was. Phil is always getting all kinds of questions, but he doesn't want to throw himself into the spotlight.
This is making me deeply uncomfortable.
He ignores those questions that people send, but today we're going to make him address those questions. So just direct your questions at Phil. He's going to answer them. This is going to be Phil feedback.
All right.
For this Thursday.
Let's do it.
Okay. He's mildly on board.
I can't wait.
I'm also excited. All right, let's talk about the bear hunt, Jani. Big old dead bear
talk about it.
in Manitoba. How'd it go down?
The actual kill, how'd that go down? You want to hear the whole thing?
Start the story however you'd like.
There's a lot to tell.
Okay.
Let's see some photos, Phil. That'll help.
Sure
That'll
thing.
help me.
Jog the old memory,
move
huh?
it along. We baited a lot. That's Craig McCarthy of North Mountain Adventures. He and his wife Melanie. They run a great outfit. High demand, though. If you want to book a bear hunt, you can't get in there till 2029. I found out.
2029?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Man. Are resident tags guaranteed in Manitoba?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so they can hunt as much as they want.
So
but,
have you been planning this trip since 2021?
No, their demand has just increased with a little bit with a little MeatEater exposure.
Oh, wow.
But a little bit. But they've also just been crushing it, doing a good job. Like I said, it's a great outfit. It's the quintessential family-run outfit. Like you're staying in a cabin, but when you go have a meal, you're in their house having meals with their kids. Who are both lovely, full on, and they wouldn't feel bad if I called them like this, but their kids are getting to grow up feral, and it made me sort of like rethink what I'm doing with my kids.
Okay.
They got a creek running through the backyard. The girl rolls in with like 3 creek chubs on a line, all muddy and dirty. And what are you going to do with those? Oh, I'm going to chop them up and feed them to the chickens, you know?
Okay. I thought maybe that was your bear bait.
Nope, bear bait was, as you can see in those barrels, oats and corn doused with used fryer oil, and then sometimes a few extra sweets, dainties they call them up there in that part of the world.
Jani is showing us a photo that looks like he's hunting in a zoo. There are 2 black bears 10 yards behind a side-by-side who are waiting for the bait to be deployed.
Yeah,
Like.
and I have other videos where it's side-by-side. That Can-Am is parked exactly where it is, and I'm leaning against it where Craig's standing there. And one of those 2 bears in that picture are eating from the top of the barrel, licking the grease off, like from me to you. So baiting really works. And what's cool about it is that, because not everybody wants to be like, oh, it's so easy. Well, there's a lot of work that goes into it. You got to bait them up first. Get them excited about it. They only start baiting, interestingly enough, about 2 weeks before season starts.
Oh.
So it's not a year-round thing. It's not a long baiting season. It's just a couple weeks. But the cool part about the baiting is that you really get to watch bear behavior, which is super neat. Like spot and stalk hunting, you're never going to sit there and get to hear all the little nuanced noises that they make. They have these very like Star Wars Wookiee-like sort of moany growls but it almost sounds like when they go into hyperspace and you get that kind of sound, right? When they're flying. Those bears, when another bear is approaching and getting a little too close, you just hear this like woo.
Is that how they sound, Phil?
I'm sure in one of the trilogies, it probably sounds something like that.
Okay.
That's not the first sound I would make, but you know.
Oh, all right.
It's close
Well,
enough.
maybe it's not hyperspace. Maybe it's some other sort of.
That sounds
It's a
sort of
tractor
like,
beam.
It sounds kind of like tractor beam, or when the Millennium Falcon is breaking down and it kind of goes. Wah, wah, wah. That was a little closer to that, like woo, 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 woo.
Yeah, Wookiee adjacent.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, when they're whatever's powering the
Wow.
Millennium Falcon is like sort of powering down, and they're like hitting buttons and
Yep.
knocking
Yep.
stuff. Yep.
Look
there
at
you
Phil's index of movie sound effects over there. He could hear Jani's impression and knew exactly what it was.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, what else we got? So yeah, bear baiting was cool. It works good. You get to check them out. We hung beavers. Beavers, for whatever reason, are so attractive. Oh yeah, that's the one there where you can see my butt. That's the one where I'm super close to him.
Oh,
Phil.
you wanna?
Yeah.
We're watching Jani and a bear look at each other from how far? Like 10 steps?
Not even. Like I could have reached out. And
3
touched
yards.
him.
Okay. Oh, you got long arms.
Um,
Is there anything else that bothers their bait piles?
not too much. I was surprised that there wasn't more stuff coming in. Like you'd see a few bears, maybe a squirrel would roll through, but yeah. And the pictures didn't really, we weren't catching skunks and other stuff. But the beaver, he said he'll have deer carcasses, bear carcasses, and the bears are indifferent. But a beaver carcass,
Okay.
they won't even look at that barrel full of corn, oats, fryer oil, donuts, croissants. They love the beaver.
Yeah.
Craig thinks it's because it's one of the first foods available in the spring. And they're taught that by mom, they go to a beaver run and just sit there and, catch beavers. So the first night, a beaver was just hung on a tree 10 feet up. First bear comes in, runs up there, gets it, runs off. You listen to him eat it for the next couple hours in the bush 50 yards away. So I'm like, well, we got to hang this beaver better, right, for more entertainment. So one night we did sort of like a high line that you like tie off a horse to and had it in the middle. But they really had no way to get to it. And they must have known that because they kind of were like, yeah, we'd look at it, smell it. We're not messing with it. The next night we did it more of like how you hang food, where you just throw it over a limb and it was maybe 4 feet out. That got their attention way more. They were like, oh, they could like touch the rope and then they could see that it was attached to the beaver. But still, the first two gave it like 2 minutes and we're like, we're going to go to the barrel and eat the stuff in the barrel. Third bear comes in. He's like, screw the barrel. Spends an hour trying to figure out how to get that beaver down. Up the tree, down the tree, going to the next tree over, up that tree, walking out on the limb. Like, came over to our tree, came up halfway up our tree, and was like, dude, I'm getting frustrated over here. Get that beaver down. Went back down. Eventually grabs, and there's a video of this, grabs that yellow rope that the beaver's hanging by with his teeth, then gets it in his claws, goes to the base of the tree, lets it go, and the beaver sort of, it's been pulled up, and it slides down and stops. Now, I don't know if he knew that, or she, that if you did that enough times, something would give.
Sure.
But basically, he did that 5 times in a row, and eventually the little noose that we had around the beaver
He won.
popped. And at that point, we were rooting for him. Because an hour into it, I'm like, man, maybe I should just go down there and cut that thing down for that guy. He deserves to get that beaver.
What was the movement like almost exclusively morning and evening? Or were they also rolling in at 1 p.m.?
They're, according to the Moultries, all day long, but the mature boars, it's an hour of power thing. Last hour. Shooting light ended the day that I killed my bear at, I think, at 10:20, and I killed my bear at 10:06.
Damn.
Yeah, I know, definitely the latest animal I've ever killed, I think. Unless
Yeah.
I miss forgetting something in Alaska. Alaska, you could kind of hunt that late too. But it was cool because we had seen a bunch of bears. It's getting late in the day.
How many bears?
At that point, that was the most we had seen. I think we had seen sow with 2 cubs, the 450-pounders that are like this guy that's in the video now.
That's right. You can see the video that Jani is referencing on the MeatEater Podcast YouTube channel. Check out the episodes of MeatEater Radio Live.
And then we saw like a lanky 6-footer, but he just wasn't thick. And then what was cool is we could just barely see out to this field that was had just been disc maybe, so it was just dirt. And you could see bears every now and then eventually they'd kind of show up at the bait. So you'd see like Mama, and she was this real pretty cinnamon, and she had I think this one was the one with 3 cubs. She had like a black cub, a cinnamon cub, and a blonde cub. And but like with 15 minutes of light left, I look out there and I'm like, man, that joker looks like he's got a little more girth to him, you know? And sure enough, when he got to the edge of the meadow where he's maybe 60, 70 yards from the bait, everybody at the bait scatters. Cubs are going up trees. Everybody's getting out of there. This dude that finally had the beaver, he moves off like another 50 yards. And when this big sucker rolls in, and it was like the woods just went quiet. Like he just rolled in. He was the man. But still then, with such little bear experience for me, I looked back at Max. I'm like, is that the one I'm supposed to shoot? You know? Like it ends up being almost 400 pounder. He squared 7.5 feet, had a 20 and 3/4 inch skull.
Is that Boone and Crockett?
21 is
21.
all time.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, so he's real close.
Right there. Just need to find a more generous measurer. That'll do.
Maybe. Yeah, there it is. There's Craig and I with the bear at the recovery. And what was great is he only went like 50 yards. I'm guessing he was not alive more than 30 seconds.
What'd you
after
shoot him
I
with?
Shot him. A 600 grain arrow that was tipped with a 200 grain iron wheel single bevel. Yeah, good shot right through both longs.
Is that your first bear with a bow?
First bear ever.
Oh.
Yeah, first bear ever. Well, I killed one in my
special.
yard that Mingus had treed, but I don't really count that as it wasn't a hunted bear, you know.
You said that you asked Max if this was the one you were supposed to shoot. I assume then that they had like a Rolodex of what bears existed in this set of woods.
Well, you have trail cam photos and videos, right, of sort of what's been showing up lately. But the thing was, we were pretty late into May when we were actually there into June. And so the rut's definitely heating up. And so he's like, yeah, look, man, like there's a sow around, there's going to be boars rolling in. So there are these 2. And there was one that had a little white patch, and there was the other one, which is the one that I had killed off his bait. But he's like, there could be a giant chocolate.
But they didn't have names.
No,
Like
no.
Humongatron.
No.
Joker. That was what Jani called him.
They outfit pretty close to the boundary of a national park.
Oh.
And I can't remember the acreage of the national park, but it's huge. And so they sort of have this, sanctuary right next to them. And so they have a constant replenishment of bears. So you really don't know who's going to show up.
What's their program in the fall? Are they guiding deer hunters as well?
A little bit of deer, mostly moose. I actually might go up and do an exploratory caribou hunt with them this
Who's
this
going
September.
with you?
I haven't decided that yet. I invited Clay. He was very excited, but the dates don't work.
Well,
So
I guess that pat on the
we
back from Randall means nothing that he just gave you a minute ago.
We can discuss, Randall.
I think we have a great on-camera dynamic, Janis.
Yeah, I agree. It could be a good time. Exploratory means that another outfitter that runs up there has switched his business basically to all ecotourism, but he has the lodging and the equipment, everything set up for caribou hunts. But he just doesn't want to do the hunting anymore. He's got just the same amount of money in ecotourism and doesn't have to deal with skinning critters and meat, And so he's basically said to Craig, like, hey, if you want to run it out of here, you can. Just give me a, cut off the top. And so Craig doesn't know anything about it. He needs pictures. He needs images. He's sure it's a good hunt. And I'm like, oh, well, I could be your guinea pig,
Yeah, and then maybe take Spencer and Randall with you.
That
Clay, your invite's it's gone.
We could do
Clay's we've already
late.
ditched Clay.
we could do MeatEater roast redux battle north of the border.
Yeah. We'll kill the thing and then cook it. back here.
Yeah.
That looked like a lot of fun.
Oh, it was a great trip, man. We really got the whole Manitoba experience because I killed on day 3. We had 2 more days, so we got to go fishing for a half a day. Cooked an awesome bear meal. You know, all this stuff about bears, whether you like them or not, and I'm in the same boat of often being like, do I really want to kill a bear? Oh, they're kind of cuddly. Oh, they're more curious. They're smarter than these other animals that we hunt or whatever. But as soon as I get to eating one, I'm like, I should kill a bear every year. Because like we just did an overnight brine and then slow roasted it the next day. And in like 90 minutes, you go to baste it and it's got an inch of pan juice. And there's just, besides maybe a hog, but I don't care what fat cow elk you shoot, you're not going to get an inch of pan juice in your roasting pan.
No, sir.
From that animal or deer or carrot or whatever. You know what I mean? And I'm pumped, man. I brought home probably well over 100 pounds of bear meat.
Okay. Now you're going to have a big old bear rug in your house, in the office?
I haven't decided yet, man. I got a quote, $2,500 for a 6-footer, and it goes up from there.
Oh,
so the 7-footer, I don't even know what it's going to be. But that's what the going rate is right now. And so I might just get her tanned.
Okay.
Seems like a lot.
I know. I mean, that's half of another bear hunt to go on, you know? Yeah.
Wow.
But it's also like, well, when's the next time you're going to kill a 7+ foot black bear?
When can you draw this tag again?
2029.
I don't have to draw it. Yeah, you just got to get a spot.
Before we move on here about Randall's turkey hunt, you said you wanted to talk about an argument you and Max had,
you guys
French
need it.
toast versus
and the
toad in a
viewers
hole.
can help us out too with this. So one morning, Eli Harris, who's new videographer for us on this trip, did a great job. He makes Max and I some toad in a hole breakfast, which is just when you take a piece of toast, cut out a little hole in the middle, crack an egg in it, fry it up. Max pours maple syrup all over his, and then proceeds to tell me that it's pretty much like French toast. And I'm like, you have kind of some of the ingredients that are the same.
Half of them.
Yeah, but it's not French toast.
Sure.
It doesn't taste like French toast.
You don't make it like French toast.
Well, you fry it in a pan. That part is similar.
Is it closer to French toast or toast and a fried egg?
I would say toast and a fried egg, 100%.
that's
Even
right.
if you put maple syrup on toast and a fried egg, I would still say it's closer to toast and a fried egg.
It's
than
very
French
clearly
toast.
a gimmicky way to make toast and a fried egg. French toast.
Yeah, it feels like it's for a child. Like that's what you'd cook for your 11-year-old to get them
Oh, but
excited about
see,
something
like Mickey
that's
Mouse
not
pancakes.
cereal.
Oh, but see, I really enjoy a toad in the hole because I use a lot of.
I'm not saying you
a
can't
lot
enjoy
of
it.
a lot of butter, so that toast is just like extra crispy, buttery. Anyways, Max is like, it's pretty much French toast. Eli is like, yeah, I think it's French toast.
You know what? I wouldn't
And
argue with either one of you.
I felt like no.
I think you could have syrup on it and not, that wouldn't be offensive to me.
It's not offensive. I'm just saying it's not French toast.
Not French toast. Agree with you there.
Yeah.
Not at all.
There's got to be some other weird regional names for that food that I'm not aware of.
The egg in the
Yeah.
There's
bullseyes.
probably a French term. I don't know.
Egg in a basket. Bullseye.
Croque. Whatever.
there you go.
Croque de toast.
Croque
What,
de
do,
toast.
what do the viewers say? Not even close to French
Egg in a
toast.
nest, one of them says, is what it's called. Egg in a basket. Okay. Yeah.
Looks like you got a quote on a rug there, Janis. Daniel Smith.
Someone's going to lower the price for you.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, if you
Randall,
guys know
tell
any
us-
good taxidermists that are big MeatEater fans, DM me.
Big Giannis fans. Tell us about the
Corey's got a big bear rug, too. We'll send you
yeah, you're gonna-
two from our
customers
office.
and maybe a turkey customer. Tell us about this dead turkey.
Well, Max and I didn't get into any arguments about breakfast food on our hunt. We actually didn't eat breakfast until after the turkey was dead because it got shot at shooting light, essentially.
It's amazing you two shot your animals probably like 6 hours apart or something like that, but one of you in the morning and one of you in the evening.
Yeah. And no, Max took me out. We found we went to a property he's got permission on. We climbed up to a little ridge and drank some beers and gobbled. And the turkeys gobbled back, and then we glassed one up. Then we found another one, and we never saw him, but we went back, and that night Max said I had to make the decision about whether or not I wanted to go to the one that we didn't see or the one we saw.
Uh-huh.
And so we played a quick game of chance, and the one that we saw won. And, I can't really do justice to this hunt. So, Phil, I spent about 9 minutes yesterday using the Movie Maker feature on my iPhone.
Oh, wow.
And would you just play that? I think it... First turkey hunt. Max took me hunting. I got one.
Oh, you cut out the part of you running at the bird there. I like that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Is Max crying in the background?
1, 2, 3.
First gobbler.
Look at that sunrise, too.
What a great day.
Very nice.
Do you know what that reminds me of is when, like, on Sesame Street, they'll have kids like, I went to the candy factory. We got to watch them make chocolate. And there's just a bunch of B-roll. Yeah.
I was adding this stuff to the drive, and when I was like manipulating the files on my phone, trying to send them places, it was like, do you want to open this in iMovie? And I was like, what the hell?
Yes, I would like
but
to.
I literally couldn't figure out how to change the text on the title or how to get rid of it. It's not very intuitive.
I just thought it was a really funny joke, but...
No.
I don't think you did justice to how you determined which turkey you were going after.
We flipped an empty Zinn can
Okay.
in the truck as we drove onto the property.
And it landed heads up or heads down?
Heads up,
Okay.
which was the ridge bird.
Wow.
Bottom of the can was the house bird.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we hiked into where this thing was, and we didn't hear any gobbles, and 10 minutes before shooting light, Max said he's going to start calling, in 15 minutes or so. So he's going to call just after shooting light to let the bird come down. Then right after he said that, the bird started gobbling. So Max waited a little while longer till it was shooting light and started talking back to it, and it came right in. And Max coached me through it. And I don't know if you could hear it in that little cinematic treat, but Max actually just goes, "Get him!" And that's when I shot.
Okay.
So I didn't realize he was filming me, but he sort of was coaching. He's like, now just follow the sound with your gun barrel, so when it pops up, you don't have to move to get him. And so I shifted the barrel over slightly to where I last heard it. And then there's a big fan in my face. And then the fan goes away, and this head comes up, and the head turns sideways, and then Max goes, "Shoot him!" And I gave it to him.
Great little movie. Clay Newcomb commented, he said that was a film.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a project.
I doubt that's the real Clay Newcomb. It's probably just some dude signed in as Clay Newcomb.
No, I hope it is Clay, because he's been having a conversation with Brent, and Brent thinks it's Clay.
I will say that the hardest part of making that was figuring out how to do the voiceover feature, because then when it has you record the voiceover, you can't listen to the audio, so you end up talking over the things you want to hear. So I probably did 5 takes on that, which was maybe 4.5 minutes of the 8 to 9 minutes I spent making it.
You nailed it.
Now,
Thank
what
you.
happened to the, last time I saw you patterned a 10 gauge that you were going to use.
Yeah, but remember that trigger didn't work.
No, you didn't remember that.
I took
Was
it back.
the trigger too heavy or too light or what?
Oh,
It's
one
a double trigger, and one of them just doesn't reset. And I'd gotten it to get fixed. I took it right back away. I took it right back from the shop, took it straight to the 277 shooting experiment. Cracked off one barrel. We were all impressed, and then I went to crack off the other one and just did the thing where you shoot a gun and you're anticipating the recoil and you just squirm. So it's fixed now apparently, but I've yet to pick it up. So next year we'll get the
next
old
year,
10
turkeys
gauge.
be warned.
Are you going to go turkey hunting again? Did you have that much fun?
Yeah, I had a great time. I mean, it was just like a fun morning. I didn't suffer for it. I didn't dream about it, but it was very fun to see someone who knows what they're doing, just like work a property and then work a bird. So I learned a lot, and I see the appeal of it. We've eaten 2 meals out of it so far, We did a little katsu chicken style turkey bowl. And then we did
two comments I want to highlight. One of them is Clay Newcomb says this is the Clay Newcomb, which is exactly what an imposter Clay
I was going to say someone, and then he also said acorn,
okay.
spelled phonetically.
He's
and
trying
I would,
too hard.
That's exactly what someone who wasn't Clay would say to make us think that they were Clay.
And then someone else said Randall Spielberg.
Randall Ford Coppola, that was another one.
There you go. First bear hunt story, first dead bear story, first dead turkey story.
Yeah.
Well done, boys.
Couple firsts.
Hey, thanks.
All right, moving on. Joining us on the line now is Owen Bachhuber, a grad student from California Polytechnic State University. He's here to talk about Project Rattlecam. Owen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Owen, first thing, tell us what Project Rattlecam is.
Yeah, so Project Rattlecam is a partnership between Cal Poly and Dickinson College, run by my advisor, Emily Taylor, and our partner, Scott Boback. And we use cameras to study snake behavior. So this actually started by using trail cameras at rattlesnake dens to get a sense of what they were doing throughout the year. But they do so many cool behaviors, right, that we can't really capture that with just still images. And so that's where we're using live streaming cameras now to broadcast these dens live to YouTube so that we can study them as well as share them with the public.
And what sorts of things can scientists learn from this 24/7 monitoring?
Yeah, so as I'm sure that you know, just the presence of a researcher near an animal can have an impact on their behavior. And so a lot of our perceptions of what snakes are like and what they do are impacted by them responding to us, right? If you just see a snake, they might sit still, trying to hope that you ignore them and move away. They might act defensively. And so what I'm studying is the social behaviors and communication between the snakes. So we actually see that rattlesnakes have friends. They have individuals that they prefer to spend time with. And they seem to have communication too. So they do this really cool head twitching behavior where they kind of bob their heads at each other as they approach. And we're trying to figure out what that's all about, what they're saying to each other.
Okay, you have more intimate knowledge about rattlesnakes than maybe anyone else. So walk us through the average day in the life of a rattlesnake that lives in Colorado, which is the live cam that you guys have available right now.
Yeah, so these sites that we're watching are dens in that they're places where the snakes are hibernating throughout the winter. But now that we're getting into summer, it's turning into a rookery. So the snakes that we're watching right now are actually pregnant females who are going to stay here for the entire summer until they give birth later in the year. And right about now, the sun is starting to hit the rocks. Things are warming up. So they're going to start to emerge from these rocks and bask in the sun to warm up their internal temperature. And the really cool thing is that these snakes, because they're not leaving the den, they don't have access to any standing water. And so whenever it rains, they're really thirsty. They come out and they flatten themselves out like a saucer, and they'll actually drink the water off of their backs. So sometimes too, we'll see predators come through like magpies trying to eat the baby rattlesnakes. And so there can be a lot of drama that ensues with these animals.
Tell us about some of the names, the personality traits that these rattlesnakes have. And do rattlesnakes ever show up that you're not familiar with?
All the time. So there are dozens, if not hundreds, of adult rattlesnakes that are using this site. And so it's impossible for me to keep track of all of them. And just imagine when each female gives birth to 8 pups in August, right? That number increases by an order of magnitude.
Wow.
So it's really hard to know who's all there. But the ones that we see the most often are actually named by YouTube viewers. So if someone's watching and they see a snake a couple of times and they take screenshots, they can submit them to us and get naming rights to that snake. And so some of them, there's one who's a really charismatic male named Thor, and he's been sticking around. He's really desperate to find a mate. We see him courting a lot of females. He's even courted a couple of males, but we've never observed successful copulation. And some of the snakes too are named after people's moms and dogs. And so they have really cute names too, sometimes noodle names. We have lasagna and ramen. So it's kind of a really fun thing. And you're seeing right now all these snakes kind of slithering out, checking out each other. I can actually see that that's Thor in the bottom right there because he has kind of a droopy lip. He was bitten in the face by an ant. And ever since he was bitten there, the venom must have caused lip paralysis or something. So he's got kind of this droopy lip still. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And you can see some of those babies in there hanging out with him as well.
You told us that Thor is charismatic, but it's because he is so desperate to mate with the other snakes. I'm amused by that description. What's the camera setup like? As hunters, we're really familiar with trail cameras, but I assume the technology used now is way beyond that.
Yeah, so you're seeing the camera right now. It is a Axis security camera that is powered by 2 8-foot solar panels, and then we have a big battery bank that's up there as well. And so because this is totally off grid, we have to use cellular streaming to get that to YouTube. And so it's quite the operation to get that all up and running. And we're actually just about to publish a paper on the whole setup, because before this, we were kind of working on our own with how we were going to figure this out. And so we had a really great team of engineers here at Cal Poly who were able to put this together for us.
And has your team had any close calls with snakes while setting up these cameras?
As a snake biologist, I wouldn't characterize them as such. So, there are snakes, quite a few of them there. When we go to set up the camera, we went earlier in the year when fewer of them would be out. Some of the snakes were still out, right, and kind of doing their things, but usually they try to get away from us. We always make sure that we're wearing high boots, right, so that if we accidentally did step on a snake and didn't see it, that would provide us some level of protection. And also you got to kind of make sure what you set down. So I went there last summer, and if you set down your backpack, I was warned that a rattlesnake might decide to make its home right underneath there. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. One of them decided to coil up. And so we just kind of moved the backpack gently and carefully and got that out of the way.
You mentioned magpies, but what other animals show up on these cameras near the dens?
Yeah, a lot of animals that your viewers might be familiar with. So we've seen long-tailed weasels, and there's a whole lot of wildlife that we could see. But 2 really exciting ones that we saw this past year were an elk came up and actually put its face right in the camera and checked it out. Oh. And then we saw a porcupine too on the camera. So it's kind of a window into all of the nature that you could see in this area.
Tell us about some of the highlights. What are the best moments that your team has captured so far?
Yeah, well, one of the amazing things is that we can watch the snakes at night. And so that's when we saw those other animals. But also, it's a lot of times when the snakes are giving birth. And so last year we got to watch 2 pregnant females give birth live to their pups on camera and zoom right in, see the snakes pop their head out of their amniotic sac for the first time. You can see the placentas. It's all like right there in really high definition. And we can look so close at the snakes even that we can see bugs. And you might not think that bugs are that interesting, but we noticed these mosquito-looking things kind of dancing on the snakes. And we didn't know what they were. But when we contacted an entomologist who studied flies, he told us that they were these cycoded flies that were actually looked like they were courting females, so that the male flies don't eat, but the females feed on blood. And so the males were doing like a dance trying to lure the female flies to mate with them on the rattlesnakes. Which, there's no fly cameras, right? So, but if we can zoom in really well on this, it's providing a window to other people who are interested in totally different things too.
Yeah, and tell folks how they can support this work and how they can watch the Rattle Cam.
Yeah, so you can learn more about us at rattlecam.org. And there we have a donate page where you can support our education programs and research. And it also links right live to our YouTube. So Project Rattlecam is the name of our YouTube channel where you can go and watch anytime.
Yeah, and I checked in 4 or 5 times this week in preparing for the interview. Every time I open it up, there were rattlesnakes on the camera. I was very impressed. It's 24/7 action on those live cams.
It's pretty amazing. We had a camera set up in California, and the densities of snakes here just aren't the same. You might see one a day or something like that. But this is a really impressive site where, basically you can always see a snake.
Yeah, and it feels more intimate too, because when I go look at like a live bald eagle cam, there's 50,000 people watching. When I look at your rattlesnake camera, there's like 25 people watching. So we need more shine on the rattlesnakes. Turn off the bald eagle cams. Go check out these rookeries that they have a live look at. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for creating this special way for people to interact with wildlife.
Thanks so much. It's my pleasure.
Randall, I saw you making a lot of faces over here. Not a big snake guy.
Yeah, not a big snake guy. Serpents give me the heebie-jeebies. I'm sure there's other folks out there that feel similarly.
Me too. I get a cold shiver anytime I see one. It can be the most harmless small snake. I was just mushroom hunting a week ago, came across 4 of them. Every time, just like sends a chill from my ankle to my back.
Yep.
I hate it.
Yep, hate it. Hate it.
All right, we're halfway
I didn't want
through
to
the
say
show.
anything to him, though. You know,
I'm very excited for this
need
now.
more exposure.
I get plenty of exposure. That's not the answer.
Good. It just touches something in my deep caveman brain.
We're going to get some listener feedback. I'm very excited about this because it's all for Phil. Phil, what do we got?
Oh boy. First one. Let's see. Let's start. Let's warm people up here. I think I had one. There was one that was like,
What's Phil's favorite band? Someone asked.
Oh yeah, my favorite band. It's pretty close between Radiohead and an indie folk band from Portland called the Decemberists. I love them dearly. Colin Malloy is a Montana native, the lead singer. He's also an author, and their songs are nerdy literary storytelling set to awesome music.
How many times have you seen Radiohead live?
Radiohead only once. They don't come here very often. I saw them on the In Rainbows tour in 2008, and it was incredible. I've seen the Decemberists probably a dozen times though, because they're around the West Coast and Montana.
All right, Phil, give us some more Phil.
Let's see. This is specifically for this one guy, I'm sure. Have you played Expedition 33 yet? If so, what do we think? The answer is yes. I beat it. It rules. My game of the year so far.
Wow.
Phil, Kingdom Hearts guy. For those of you who don't know, Kingdom Hearts is a Japanese action RPG game that was like a multiversal project that mixed the worlds of Final Fantasy and Disney IP. It seemed insane at the time. I was obsessed with this game.
Aren't they on their 20th edition by now?
Yeah, there's been many spin-offs, each one more insane and preposterous than the last sequels.
Is this the one there's commercials for during the NBA playoffs?
I don't think so. I don't know what they have commercials for, but
LeBron does a commercial.
Okay.
It's a game on a phone.
I was so obsessed with this game. It came out on my 7th grade picture day. I brought the case to my school and asked if I could hold it up in my school picture, and they said no, and I was devastated. Phil, how hyped are you for GTA 6? Pretty hyped. I really enjoy the GTA games. But I never get into online. I play the campaign, the story mode. I have a great time. It's a blast. It's a lot of fun, and then I put it away.
These are great. Give us some more, Phil.
Okay.
Quick hitters. Love it.
Oh, boy. I think I saw one that was like Death Row Meal. I might have not starred that one, but Death Row Meal. Simple. Just a really good fish and chips with a tartar sauce and malt vinegar and,
kind of fish?
And a malty beer.
Cod?
Preferably, but I'm really not picky.
Haddock.
I'm not picky with fish at all.
Who does good fish and chips in Bozeman?
Oh, I mean, not a lot. I'd say like the Bacchus is solid. I don't know if you guys have any tips, but the Bacchus is like my number one go-to in Bozeman.
Is it Gutlan? Is that the German?
Gutlaune.
Okay. Like their fish and chips.
I haven't had it, but I love the idea of having it there because that you can get the big German steins of beer.
Give us a couple more.
Phil, what game are you playing right now? I just played Death Stranding in anticipation of Death Stranding 2 coming out later this month. But also, I was telling the boys in here before we started, I have an unboxed Nintendo Switch 2 upstairs in my office. And we can just turn the whole Q&A session into an unboxing video if you guys want to. I'm very excited.
We just got Rattlesnake ASMR, so why don't we just do the whole thing?
Let's call it there.
I asked Phil if he was going to have to share his Switch 2 with those twerp children he has. What was your answer, Phil?
No, they got their own Switches for Christmas, and part of that was so when the Switch 2 came out, it could be mostly mine.
Yeah, good parenting advice there from Phil.
Yeah, and I'll do one actual question for MeatEater fans, and because Janis is here, Odie the Good Shepherd asks, "How's Mingus doing? And how is his training coming along?" Kind regards on the other side of the pond out of Rotterdam in the Netherlands.
That's a hell of a port.
Yeah.
A lot of traffic.
Yeah, what do they mostly move through there?
Whatever. Just shipping.
Okay.
Mingus is doing great. He's kind of trained up. My main mentor says that Mingus is as much of a lion dog as he's ever going to be. And he's not going to get any better. But he's great right now. He does his thing. So, yeah, we're We're having fun.
How-
Season's over, so we're, Mingus is waiting for December 1st at this point.
How long will he be at the mountaintop of his best
I don't know.
lion hunting? Do they start to go downhill at some point? I suppose their physical fitness.
Yeah, but I think that the older the dogs get, maybe they get more efficient. Maybe they get smarter about how they run tracks. Mingus doesn't seem to be a real genius. So I don't know if that's going to happen with him, but I don't know. He's only 4 now. I guess he'll be 5 this fall. So I imagine he's got at least that many more good years.
He's in his prime.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Our next segment is MeatEater Movie Club. This week, we're reviewing the 2022 comedy, Hundreds of Beavers.
I've just passed out a few scripts. Your lines are highlighted. Corey, if you'll begin.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hold on, Corey. I got to turn your mic on here.
They did not know about this. Was that you were intentionally leaving this
Yes,
at this
yes.
very moment?
Yes,
Okay.
this is why I was so concerned that the printer wasn't working for
all right.
me earlier.
Perfect.
So, Corey, your lines are highlighted.
Am I on, Phil?
You're on, and also
Yeah.
for those of you wondering, this other man sitting at the table he's Jake. He's our newest addition to the podcast team. He's gonna be doing some stuff for Radio Live after they're starting at the end of the month. So, hi Jake. Anyway, Corey, go ahead.
The setting is the podcast studio, MeatEater headquarters, Bozeman, Montana. It's 11:41 a.m.
No. You're supposed to read it as if it's before the show. Just read it as written. Jesus.
A lot of work put into this. It's 10:28 a.m. on Thursday, June 5th, 32 minutes before the recording of MeatEater Radio Live, episode 41.
Hey, good morning, Randall.
Good morning, Phil the engineer. Do you have all your jingles lined up for the show?
Yes, all set on that front. Are you ready for MeatEater Movie Club today?
I think the whole movie club segment is played out. My monologues just get longer and longer. The tone has gotten darker and darker. The references are just too obscure. I think the joke's run its course. It's tired, and my heart's just not in it anymore.
Well, at least we've got a great film to discuss today, right? I saw that the movie you've selected for this week has a score of 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. What's it called? Hundreds of Beavers?
Yes, that's exactly right. Hundreds of Beavers 2022, directed by Mike Cheslick and starring Ryland Brixton Cole Tews. And yeah, I was a little surprised by that Rotten Tomatoes score as well as the critical acclaim I saw online.
Why so?
Well, I'm not even sure what to make of the film.
It was about trapping, right?
Loosely. Well, no, it is. In the same way that Space Jam is about basketball. Or maybe just a little less than that. There's a man who begins as a drunkard, something to do with apples. It's also very cold out, and he catches some fish with his fingers. And then he spends much of the film getting hurt while trying to catch critters of all kinds in increasingly elaborate traps and schemes. Half the time, his plans backfire spectacularly. But large men in furry-like beaver costumes are killed and skinned, yes, and the plot does involve the accumulation of bodies of dead beaver men. But then the beavers hold a Soviet-style show trial for the lead character before attempting to skin him and make a coat out of him. And there's a weird rocket ship at the end. It's partially animated, there's sort of a weird video game-like quality to the whole thing. Maybe it is more like Space Jam than I thought. And the whole thing's in black and white. It's just a lot of weird stuff. I don't know. The chat might be disappointed with this segment today, but at least it's not because they had to sit through yet another heavy-handed film analysis in my grating monotone delivery.
Oh man. Wow. Yikes. Were there any highlights?
Well, the thing that immediately comes to mind is the sound design. Absolutely fantastic. Lots of rattles and crashes and whistles and bonks. Brought me right back to the golden age of Tinseltown. Above and beyond that, I guess I just admire the commitment to the whole vision.
The commitment to what exactly? It's a comedy, right?
Well, yeah, I suppose it is, but it's not that simple. It's more like a chaotic, avant-garde comedic experiment that defies the conventions of mainstream filmmaking in the 21st century. Yet at the same time, it's clearly in conversation with a variety of cinematic touchpoints. It's got slapstick sensibility like Three Stooges and Merry Melodies. We see traces of the stop-motion aesthetics of South Park, and tonally there's a little bit of Burt Ives' Christmas specials. On top of that, the dramatic arc of the film is basically just a simplified version of the best 8.5 minutes of Home Alone. That is, the first Home Alone. The one where Macaulay Culkin's character is actually alone at home and not at the Plaza Hotel in New York City.
Of course.
Yeah, and throughout the whole film, the main character just grunts and makes faces. He's surrounded by actors in animal costumes that are eerily reminiscent of the rabbit figure in Donnie Darko. I also have to point out, only because it bothered me so much, that there's a brief nod in one scene to that terrible dogs playing poker painting so often displayed in suburban rec rooms in American casual dining chains with friendly atmospheres. Like, for example, Applebee's, TGI Fridays, O'Charlie's, and Chili's. Or Bennigan's. But that's a more obscure reference because there aren't many Bennigan's around these days since the parent company Metro Media Restaurant Group was forced into an involuntary Chapter 7 bankruptcy in 2008. According to Bennigans.com, only 6 full-service freestanding locations remain open in the U.S.
Wow.
2 in Texas, 2 in Iowa, 1 in North Dakota, and 1 in Illinois. Although don't quote me on that because I don't know if those are corporate locations or if that's inclusive of franchises. Regardless, it's a striking number considering at one point there were more than 150 corporate Bennigan's locations.
My goodness.
That's interesting to learn about how few Bennigans there are in the United States. I guess I'd noticed that their footprint had shrunk considerably since I was younger, but I didn't quite know the backstory.
Yeah, but a growing part of the business now is a derivative quick-serve, fast-casual concept, Bennigan's on the fly, that's geared more towards high-traffic locations like food courts, airports, arenas, and university campuses. They offer fresh, innovative selections as well as some customer favorites from the traditional Bennigan's menu, including the Monte Cristo and the Turkey O'Toole. Spencer, you're laughing. You gotta stop.
Oh, man.
You gotta stop.
I appreciate that information on Bennigan's on the fly, which I hadn't heard of until just now.
Looking to the future, the company has plans to expand its already strong international presence, which includes multiple locations throughout Central America, as well as 2 in Bahrain, 2 in Qatar, 2 in Dubai, and curiously, 4 in Cyprus. Coming soon, there's a location in Pakistan, too. These are all full-service locations, by the way, just like the original Bennigan's. God damn it. I got sidetracked last night prepping for this show by reading about the resurrection of the Bennigan's brand, and I'm falling into the same trap again. We can't get distracted, Phil. We've got to figure out this movie club segment. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Hundreds of Beavers also includes these surreal sequences where reality just bends.
Bends how?
Picture this. A wet piece of firewood is actually a log-shaped pillow, so our hero is able to wring it out like a sponge. Or the fur trader spits his chaw of tobacco towards a spittoon, and then the plug just curves wildly through the air so it never lands in the intended receptacle until the very end, symbolizing the resolution of the conflict at the heart of the film. The physical universe of Hundreds of Beavers makes no sense, but somehow it works with its own hallucinogenic logic.
And this goes on for how long?
Well, I figured it would go on for about 5 minutes, but it seems like it's going longer than that.
No, I mean the movie.
Oh, of course. 1 hour and 48 minutes. I checked my phone a lot, actually, mostly reading about Bennigan's, thinking we were surely near the end. But no, the movie just kept going. More encounters with people in animal suits, more elaborate failures, more falling in the snow, more rolling in the snow, more grunting, and more yelling.
Do you think Spencer and Janis enjoyed it?
That's doubtful. I think it's too far out in left field, creatively speaking, for Spencer's tastes. And Janis, well, I know he appreciates good filmmaking and has a very open-minded sensibility, but I'm not sure even he can make sense of whatever this was trying to be.
Oh, shit. Sounds like Movie Club might be a pretty tough segment. I'm pretty sure Spencer's got 10 or 15 minutes dedicated to it in the run of the show. The show will be recording in less than an hour.
Don't worry, we can fill it out somehow. Too bad we can't include all of that good information about Bennigan's. That's fun pre-show banter, but not exactly what the Radio Live audience is tuning in for.
Totally.
The thing is, I can't shake the feeling that there's something profoundly lovable about the madness of this film. Like, you've got to admire an unshaking conviction to an absurd premise. You just come up with something completely bonkers and take it all the way.
So you respect it even if you don't fully get it.
You know, the more I think about it, the more I like it, actually. I just love stuff that is genuine in its weirdness. There's no cynicism, there's no winking at the camera. There's just a bold, unadulterated fever dream of a concept that doesn't shy away from the gaze of the critic.
Well, what will you say on air? We're going live at 11.
I wasn't quite sure before this conversation, Phil, but it's becoming clearer and clearer as we talk. There's an interesting tension here. On the one hand, put yourselves in the shoes of the makers of this film. You are truly inspired by a creative concept so over the top, so wrapped up in its own bizarre vision that you've just got to run with it, and you can't half-ass it. Sure, sometimes it might leave viewers wondering, what the hell was that? But there's something joyful and beautiful in the deliberate insanity of it all.
Yeah, I get that.
On the other hand, if you're so committed to producing something in keeping with your own comedic sensibilities, damn the viewer, you run the risk of losing the audience's attention, maybe even earning its resentment. And the point is, at that point, you're just doing it for your own amusement, completely for your own amusement. And here's the big question. Is that type of content just masturbatory self-indulgent on the part of the artist, Phil? Or is it a truer expression of creative integrity?
Well, geez, that's actually not a bad angle for Movie Club, assuming you're still talking about the film.
Precisely, my friend. Precisely.
End scene.
Wow.
Fade to black.
Thank you.
Audience goes nuts.
Yes, they are. I got to catch my breath. I didn't even have to read anything.
Oh, man. I actually like this movie more than I made it seem. I started working on this about halfway through when I wasn't sure what to make of it, but at the end of it, it won me over.
Okay.
But I thought this was such a good bit that I couldn't let it go.
Randall,
Glad you didn't.
That was spectacular.
We've broken down.
Thank you so much.
I told you someone was going to cry in this building today.
Randall correctly predicted someone would cry, and I have laughing tears.
Yeah, thanks to Mogor for a very strange film. Yeah, I don't know.
How would we had not heard about this film?
Well, it's very new. It was only released in 2022, and the star and the director wrote it, and they released it at a film festival, and then I guess the studio attempted to distribute it, and they just wanted it to go to like streaming platforms. And
it didn't even make it to streaming, I think, until like 2024 or something like that.
Yeah.
I thought this movie was a lot of fun. I think, like Randall said in his commentary, it's a little long in the tooth, but
100%.
But man, so many creative gags. Like it was, I couldn't believe just how much stuff was unexpected or genuinely funny. I'd say that the jokes worked more than they didn't for me, which is, key to a good comedy.
Yeah, things I liked. The music was great. To make any movie on a $150,000 budget in 2022 is wildly impressive. So it felt like it far exceeded that. It also felt like an Adult Swim bumper from 2006, and that's a compliment because the weird on those bumpers, if you're familiar, you know what I'm talking about. It's kind of limitless. Phil, I imagine you were really
I have
into
no
those.
idea. I'm lost.
Yeah,
now.
you're a
have
little
to
old for
explain.
that.
Oh.
Phil, explain.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to
know
explain, but Adult Swim had kind of shorter programming, so they would fill the space between shows with these kind of like short films and just stuff that varied wildly. I think they just hired different crazy creative people to make just these weird bumpers, like Spencer said.
This movie felt like one of those to me, but drug out over 2 hours, which I think was too long. We're in agreement there.
I had a line initially in my review where I said, and I did have to cut quite a bit out of this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had a line in my review where I said, it seems like something I should watch and hold my attention for about 5 to 10 minutes on the internet, and maybe 10 to 15 minutes if I was drinking.
Yeah.
But like that's sort of it. But I liked that they were just like, we're going to make a 2-hour movie of this.
Yeah, and this felt like something that AI could not make.
No.
And that's refreshing in a world that feels like it's being swallowed by AI in this medium. The movie got a real laugh from me around minute 100 when the daughter gets on a stripper pole. That was unexpected, which most things in this movie are. And then shortly after that, a word gets bleeped, which was also wildly amusing because there's no dialogue in the movie. So a bleep felt genuinely out of nowhere. I think bleeps are always funny. You could serve me a bleep in any show or movie, and I'm going to laugh at it. But I got a real giggle when that happened.
Yeah.
Yanni, did you watch this with anyone? You were courting the idea of watching with your daughters, and I don't know if you went through with it or not.
I did, but we started a little late last night, which means two things. One, we couldn't finish it. Kids had to get to bed for school, and I fell asleep for many parts of the first half. Been a long day, short night the night before, a little sauna. It wasn't really like I wasn't set up to make it through a movie. But I kept waking up at giggles. So every time I wake up, I'm like, oh, can't be too bad.
Your giggles or your daughter's giggles?
No, my daughters are giggling at the jokes that are slapstick funny. I did finish. I probably watched maybe 70 minutes of it this morning. So I got to pick it up at the important part. I got the gist of it. You guys we're all saying the same thing, but you have to give it almost 30 minutes just to sort of be like, oh, okay, I get it.
I'm immersed in this.
And I'm in now. Because at first you're just like, wait a minute, what?
I thought the first 30 minutes could have been a 5-minute setup.
Sure.
And then it just begins with him.
Well, you could truncate the whole movie.
Yeah. The movie should
it
be
would be
25
great.
minutes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the beaver, the giant man made out of beavers.
That's great.
The beaver show trial was fantastic. I also liked when she's skinning the animals. Like, she has a legit little kit there of big curved fleshing knives and stuff like that. And then the one, I think it's the raccoon that she skins. She begins, I think she does something to its head, but then she takes the arm and like breaks the joint. I thought that was hilarious.
This was filmed in Wisconsin and Michigan, I think, so I assumed they're from that part of the world.
Yeah.
So they like have some familiarity.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't
with the
seem
subject
like it
matter.
seemed like people that knew what they were talking about.
Oh,
And just
100%. I was
took
going to
it-
say, like, they don't give up on the slapstick. Like, just when you think, like, they can't come up with something, you're like, oh, he just sneezed and this giant snot thing turned into an icicle and then killed something.
And the caster mounds and stuff.
Yeah.
yeah.
But they also don't give up on keeping, like, the trapping aspect legitimate.
Yeah.
Like the scene where I think he first gets his the leg holds, and he's like chucking them out on the ice, and he chucks it one time and it's not proper, and then it's upside down, and he has to do it 3 times to do it properly. You could have just as easily chucked it out once, and the trap could have caught any animal,
right?
No matter how it came out there. But they were like, oh no, it has to flow out to this fake beaver right side up, because otherwise, the viewers are going to get mad that the trap caught this fake beaver when the trap was upside down.
I know there's like attention to detail in it that I was won over by the end of it. I still, if I had a director's cut, shave about 61 minutes off it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to appreciate just going for it.
A couple other things I liked is they obviously did their own stunts, and there's at one point where he's like pushing a wooden box, and then he falls into the wooden box, and he gets out and he falls into it again. And he nailed that part. Like that was done really well. I also like the idea of the beaver dam is like a dam that is run by the Army Corps of Engineers.
Yeah,
That
a massive
was fun.
hydroelectric dam.
Things I didn't like. Too long. I checked my phone a lot, and I was like, it's got to be about over, and it wasn't. The other thing, this isn't necessarily something I didn't like about the movie, maybe just like the indie movie industry, is that this movie was showered with awards, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
This was worthy of being nominated, I don't know, like 50 times and winning 20 times. This could not have been one of the greatest things that humans produced in cinema in 2022, even in the niche indie scene. I was like mildly turned off by that when I saw it afterwards. I was like, I can't believe that people felt like this was one of the best things from that year.
Yeah. I feel like the movie didn't affect me in any way. I went through it. I walked away, and I was like, that's what I watched for an hour. And yeah.
I don't know. I think I was marveling at the creativity more than anything, because I think that was unparalleled. Honestly.
Yeah. I respect it. I mean, a strange concept, but
Is there a message?
I think their message was just like, look at the limitless weird that we can do. For
Yeah,
2 hours, and we can revive a form of comedy that has been lost with audio, because it was like Three Stooges.
I had another line in here, and
Okay.
it was basically just this was more an experiment to see if they could do this, like incorporate these different elements. Like, what if we did this? What if we did this? And then they just made the whole film without asking if it was something they should actually do.
No, this is like a classic hero's journey.
I also
don't know what you're
cut another line out
This
of
guy
this.
had an arc, man.
The parent
gets the girl.
company, the parent company for Bennigan's also owned Ponderosa Steakhouse, which explains where Ponderosa Steakhouse, or as we called it when we used to go there for the lunch buffet, Sweet Lady P.
Did you love Bennigan's? I've never been to one.
Not really.
Okay.
I remember going to one. There's a South Park episode where Butters really wants to go to Bennigan's, but I was doing the thing about the dogs playing poker, and I was trying to come up with another like few casual chains, and I saw Bennigan's, and I was like, what the hell happened to Bennigan's?
Now we know.
And now we know. And it does seem like there's a very committed couple in Texas who now own it. There's been some restructuring, and they're committed to restoring the brand, which is cool because I think it's a real legacy brand in the world of American restaurants.
I'd never heard of it until today.
Never been to one. I don't know that I've ever been in the same city as one.
Well,
May
Now
never happen.
Ponderosa.
next time you go to the Middle East, man, you'll be surrounded by them.
My big takeaway: this would be the perfect movie if you're a stoner college kid to watch on a Thursday night. I wouldn't cancel weekend plans. I don't think this is something you dedicate a Friday or Saturday to. But if you're a stoner college kid, do what stoner college kids do, and then put this on tonight, and you'll have like a wonderful 2 hours.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's all I got.
There was
thanks,
plenty.
Thanks
Terrific.
again to Mogor.
Good call, Mogor.
I feel like this segment ran too long, and I played a role in that, so I apologize.
I really enjoyed it.
Spencer, can I suggest a switch around?
We're
going to
skip ahead to
Great,
1
yes.
minute fishing. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Our next segment is 1 minute fishing.
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? Go ahead. Make my cast.
1 minute fishing is where we go live to someone who's fishing and they have 1 minute to catch a fish. And if they're successful, we'll make a $500 donation to a conservation group. This week, our angler is Kristine Fischer, who you'll remember from last week's episode. She's on Chickamauga Lake in Tennessee and fishing for a donation to the first Wisconsin chapter of Muskies, Inc. Kristine, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Doing good. Last week, Kristine, you joined us. You were in Oklahoma pre-fishing for the 2025 Bassmaster Kayak Series at Lake Tenkiller. There were 137 anglers in the field. Tell folks how you did.
Well, y'all, I don't know if it was that MeatEater luck, but I ended up taking the big W, my first Bassmaster win, and it was the first win by a female in Bassmaster history. So pretty dang
Hell
cool.
yeah, first place.
Nicely done.
Congratulations, Kristine. First place among 137 anglers. That's awesome. Now explain how a
Hold on.
Bassmaster...
How many other females, Kristine, were in this tournament?
I think this one was one of our highest attended for females, and I think there were 6 of them.
Out of 137.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's great. Explain how a Bassmaster Kayak Series tournament is set up and maybe different from other tournaments. Because the first thing that jumps out to me when I look at the results is that a fish's value is measured by length instead of weight.
Oh, having some
Lost.
connection
Certified
issues with
all of our
Kristine here.
fish via length. We have certified measuring boards that we use. Mouths have to be closed, and then we have a unique identifier that it has to be in the picture for every single one of our fish. So they're GPS time stamped. We have a first cast and a last cast, and it's a pretty techy little setup how they do it. And I love it because there are, this has been around for 10 years, and early on, there were a lot of people that tried to kind of cheat the system by various ways, and it's dang near impossible to do that now. It's awesome.
Give me an example of how people would. Give me an example of how people would try to cheat the system.
So we had a guy, two things. We had a guy about 6-7 years ago that was cutting boards in half and then kind of gluing them together so his fish looked like they were 2 or 3 inches longer than they were. It was absolutely insane. There's been a couple of people that would take a Sharpie and try to mark up fish to where they had different marks on them, but they were the same fish, or to make the tail, not hit a 1/4 inch. But now the app has people look for the same fish because every fish has very unique markings and lateral lines, so they can't get away with that. And then we had a guy in Texas actually that was cutting tails and kept the tail of a fish in his pocket and would lay it over. This was a long time ago. Would lay it over the fish, put his hand over it, so you couldn't. The tail looked like it was like this long. That was in a local tournament, so it's a little, local ones aren't as rigid as I would think the big national ones are, but we've learned a lot in the last decade.
That's amazing. Every time I think tournament anglers can't cheat, they figure out a new way to cheat. So I'm very amused to hear that. Now, how far are tournament kayak anglers traveling in a day?
Honestly, this is going to surprise a lot of people because it's anywhere, you'll have people that'll stick within a mile, but I've covered up to 15, 20 miles in one day in the kayak.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. I would say the average is probably 5 to 7.
Man.
What's your top speed? If you just got to get from point A to point B, what's your top speed in that thing?
About 6.5. Very, a lot slower than my Ranger goes.
Wow. Now, Lake 10 Killer offers smallmouth and largemouth, and the upper portion lake is very different from the lower portion lake. So anglers have a lot of different ways that they can find success or failure and approach this fishery. Tell us about your winning strategy.
Well, my strategy, I really wanted to fish for points. We have an Angler of the Year series, and that qualifies you for the championship. And I only get to fish 3, and I didn't get a drop event. So I was just going to go, I went and caught some giant smallmouth down south. Had a really good pattern, caught a 4.5-pound smallmouth, couple 3-pound smallmouth, really good fish for that lake. But they were fairly obvious offshore spots. And I knew with the big boat tournament and 137 kayak anglers, I actually did not touch what I would call my best water one time during the tournament. I went to an area that I thought was going to get very overlooked. Had some quality fish, had to work a lot harder for them. And there were only 4 people at my ramp. So I thought I made a huge mistake that day I got there, but it ended up working out, fishing less pressured water. And it was cool because I got to lock a big swim bait in my hands basically both days, and did a little bit of late flipping on some steeper banks leading back to the creeks on the first day as well. But fishing that overlooked water was key.
That's great. I read you say that your 2 biggest fish of the tournament did not get in the boat. What happened there?
Well, anytime, if you got any listeners that are swim bait people, when you're swim bait fishing, sometimes they just don't make it to the boat. And I had on 3 casts, my first cast down this little spot at the mouth of the creek, jumped off about a 3.5-pound smallmouth. 2 casts later, I jumped off a largemouth that would have been big bass for the tournament. It was just over 5 pounds. And the cameraman was on me. So he had a segment of photos from start to finish, and it was agonizing. I had to kind of relive that. In those tournaments, you think you lose one of those big fish, and you're just like, well, that was the one. That was the one I knew that I needed to probably get this thing done. So that, it's really tough to stay in it mentally after jumping off 2 big fish. But you know what? When it's your time, it's your time. And I guess that was my time to get it done anyway.
Yeah. Now, before we do 1 minute fishing today, tell folks what happened after our 1 minute fishing segment ended last week.
Well, I caught 3 white bass in a row. I swear it was y'all's music. Like, that was the most intense minute of my life. Like, can we all get Virginia or something just a little bit more chill? Because I was freaking out with that minute. I caught 3 fish in a row after that. So I felt pretty discouraged.
Damn. All right. Well,
I have a question, though, Spencer, before we go there. Kristine, if you keep on winning and keep getting these big checks, and you all of a sudden you have enough money to buy one of those big fancy boats, are you going to switch from kayak angling to just regular angling out of a fancy bass boat? Or like, I'm asking, what's the draw for kayak angling, and would you switch over to regular boat fishing?
Well, I actually did make the switch last year. I have a Ranger Alpha 208, and I'm fishing in the most competitive boat trail in the country, the Bassmaster Opens. So I do that, and I fished 2 this year, and I fished a couple women's only boat tournaments. I won my first one earlier this year just to kind of learn it, because honestly, the boat was pretty intimidating for me. But, I'll always be a kayak angler. I always will. I'm doing the boat thing to hopefully inspire more women to get into fishing out of the boat. But I'm a kayak angler because it just fosters such a deeper, more intimate experience on the water. We're right next to the water. It's quiet. I can get back in these creeks and these things where other boats can't get. And it's a lot more affordable. When I was 21 years old, I wasn't buying a $60,000, $70,000 boat. I couldn't afford it. I was working 3 jobs. So I got into kayak fishing because for me, that was accessible for me.
All right, tell us about the body of water you're on today, what you're fishing for, and how you're doing it.
Well, I started the morning at a little pond, and I told y'all I had bluegill on every single cast, but I had no service. So I ended up loading up and hauling down to Lake Chickamauga. I do have some experience here, but it's the midsummer. It's pretty stingy. I have one little stretch of riprap right now that I got here in my first 3 casts in a row again. I sent you all a picture. I caught a decent smallmouth, I caught a largemouth, and a spotted bass. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that cast with this, but I feel like it's my best bet, and it's where I got to in the time that I had. We're going to swim a little paddle tail right down that riprap and see what we can do.
All right. Well, your 1 minute of fishing starts when you make that first cast. Kristine is now, I don't know if she's going to stand up today or not. Kristine, how often are you standing when you're fishing out of your kayak?
Probably 90% of the time, but I'm going to sit just because I don't think y'all will be able to see me if I stand.
Okay. And tell us about the riprap that you're tossing this swim bait at.
Well, there's actually a little spring that comes in right here, and it was in the shade about a half an hour ago. So...
Well, my movie review went wrong. It went too long.
Summer that's really, really big. So
okay.
We're going to see. I'm getting ready to make that first cast. Y'all ready?
We're ready. Go for it.
Okay, here we go.
She's made her first cast. She just told us that she caught 3 already in this spot.
Tell me when I'm at 30 seconds.
Okay, you're 10 seconds in.
Well, hopefully, with that big wind under her belt, the music doesn't affect her as much as it did last week.
It is dead calm out there today in Tennessee. You are 30 seconds down. She's furiously paddling and reeling.
Switching spots a little bit.
She's backing up off the location. 20 seconds to go. She just made her third cast. It seems like she only finds a little part of this area productive because she reels a few times and then brings it in. 10 seconds. She just made her final cast.
Last cast there.
5 seconds.
Come on, Kristine.
Oh, didn't happen today. That's it for your 1 minute.
I have a feeling, though, we'll have you back on because the competitive spirit is clearly there.
Yeah,
so.
Kristine, you take this more serious than any of our other anglers.
I love it.
She just set the hook. If only it were 2 minute fishing and she made a 12-inch largemouth. Oh, just 30 seconds too late.
Oh, that's great.
Is that a largemouth or a spotted bass?
That's actually a little baby largemouth.
Little baby largemouth.
Oh, that fish didn't have to fall very far to hit the water.
I'm not okay right now, y'all.
1 minute. It's a lot of pressure. In the history of this segment, I think we've had 3 or 4 successful anglers, so it's tough.
And you're welcome back anytime.
That's right. Okay. Before we go, any other sign of the mythical 10-killer lake octopus? You didn't see anything strange on your sonar? Nothing tried grabbing your kayak while you were out there?
Hold on, I didn't hear that last little part. What was it?
It was not important. Thank you for joining us, Kristine. We'll have you back on 1 Minute Fishing some other time.
Okay.
Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you.
We have one segment left. I think we're just going to punt on it, though, until our next episode.
Yeah, it'll be prepped for whenever we want to do it.
It'll be saved for then. That means we're at the end of the show. We're going to do some final Phil feedback. What do you got for us, Phil?
The viewers are chomping at the bit to hear some of this. Phil, what's your favorite class to play in D&D? I think sorcerers are a lot of fun. Let's see. Dan, the outdoor man, favorite TV drink? I think he meant tiki drink. I've said it before. It's the Navy Grog. It's classic. Favorite song to sing at karaoke? The most fun time I've had singing at karaoke was the Dixie Chicks. Now the Chicks. Goodbye, Earl. I thought he
does it well.
It was really fun. Let's see, what kind of preamp interface do you use with those SM7Bs? We got a FET head, providing a little extra boost. And then it goes into an Allen and Heath CQ12T digital mixer.
Perfect.
Question for Phil: do you actually have to work to come up with ideas for segment drops, or does the stuff just come to you naturally? I want to say it just comes to me naturally, but that's mostly because I'm lazy. I think of like the first idea I have, and it's usually like good enough. I think a couple of times I've made like a last call, like, ooh, this song would be better, so I'll do that. Phil, you be on the theater stage again soon this Christmas at the Ellen Theater in Bozeman, Montana. I'll be playing Bob Cratchit in A Christmas Carol, so come on down, and I'm looking forward to it because my son will also be in the show, so that'll be a lot of fun.
Do we know what part he has yet?
We do not yet. Okay. No. I think he's too old for Tiny Tim And so that's he was really hoping for it, but I had to talk him down.
I'll be there.
Phil, favorite film of all time. Fill us in for those listeners. He spelled everything with a PH.
Hell yeah.
This is not the greatest film of all time, but it is my favorite film of all time, and that is the Tom Hanks directed 1996 movie, That Thing You Do. I love that movie. I think it's near perfect, and even the stuff that isn't perfect, I love so much.
Randall, what do you think of that movie?
It's been a long while. I remember enjoying it when it came out. I was 10 at the time. But original score, am I right, Phil?
I think, it's most known for its original song, which is
That's
just like
right.
a perfect pop song written by one of the guys from Fountains of Wayne, who was also like Stacy's mom. I mean, just like it's like perfect power pop song. But yeah. Anyway.
What else you got, Phil? A couple more?
I'll do one more. I'll do two more. Why have Phil and Clay not made a collab? It's from Matthias. Clay and I have made multiple collabs. One of them is the Bear Grease podcast.
Oh, wow. That's a big one.
Which I no longer work on, but Clay and I, it's mostly Clay's show, but I helped him out with kind of like the format and what to do with it. And our other collab was that we were in a band together and we opened the MeatEater live tour.
Oh, that was amazing.
So if you, I don't think there's official video that exists of that performance.
Did that have a name?
Have to be there.
Your band?
We didn't have a name. No.
Okay.
We should retroactively give ourselves a name. Last one, Phil. The Red Dead Redemption live stream. It is happening. It's probably happening in the fall. We're trying to lock down our goals for the land access initiative for the year and make sure that when we do some sort of fundraiser, you guys will all know exactly where your money's going, and you'll feel good about donating to a good cause.
Well done. Very, very entertained by the Phil questions.
Great.
Yeah, we're gonna
Thanks
do
for
that
that,
again
Spencer.
sometime. Thank you, Jani. Thank you, Randall.
Thank
you, Spencer.
Yeah. All right.
Great
See
show.
everyone back here next week. Same time, same place.
Thanks, Phil.